27, 2019. Notice of this meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, and Star Ledger, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the municipal website. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Yassin?
Here.
Councilwoman Triviano?
Here.
Councilman Ballard?
Here.
Councilman Yangstrom?
Here.
Councilman Zipprich?
Here.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Here.
We're all here. We have no proclamations or announcements or presentations this evening, but we do have a very pleasurable experience in swearing in a new member of our police department and borough family. So I would like to turn it over right now to the commissioner.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're excited to be swearing in Officer Cahill. I know you've been working with the borough since 2017. I know personally, I've just heard great things about you from so many people. You have a lot of, support and encouragement in the borough. So we're happy to have you here. I know that law enforcement runs in your family. So we're very proud to have you in Red Bank. We know that you're going to do a great job and that you're going to add to giving our community what we love, which is safety and kindness from all of our police officers. So thank you.
So, Officer Cahill, this is a rhetorical question. Are you prepared to be sworn in?
Yes, sir.
And I joked with him earlier. I said I knew he was prepared because he wanted to impress. And he got the same haircut as the chief. Shall we, Commissioner? Your parents?
Yes. Hi, I'm Therese.
Great job.
Thank you, I agree.
We all congratulations.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Luke V. Cahill,
I, Luke V. Cahill,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply
that I will support and comply
with the Constitution of the United States of America,
with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of New Jersey,
the Constitution and state laws of New Jersey,
the Charter laws and ordinances of the Borough of Red Bank,
the charter laws and ordinances of the Borough of Red Bank,
the rules and regulations of the Red Bank Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Red Bank Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties of my office
discharge the duties of my office
as probationary police officer to the best of my ability. As
as
probationary
probationary
police officer
police officer
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
He thought I was actually going to say captain to the best of his ability. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to send this piece of paper. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Chief, would you like to say a few words?
I just want to thank the governing body for understanding the need for this. I know Luke will do us proud. He's one of the most popular members of our department in a very short time, and as you can see by the turnout. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. On behalf of all the members of the governing body and indeed the entire Borough family, our business administrator, our staff, our clerk, everyone at Borough Hall and Public Works, I wanted to express once again our deep appreciation to all of the women and the men of our Red Bank Police Department and their support staff for the incredible job that all of you do day in and day out. And your efforts as well as your service is sincerely appreciated by all of the residents who continuously and steadfastly rate you the best. That's not to say that they rate the elected officials the best, but the police department is always best in their book. So thank you for making us look good. You're welcome to stay, or you can enjoy your celebration. Thank you. Yeah. Any members of the public wish to address the governing body on just agenda items only and non-public portion of the ordinances that are going to be discussed? Mr. Morris.
So this would be a free time to talk about the redevelopment.
That's a public hearing. I'll have a separate hearing.
All right, so I'll wait for that. Thank you.
Okay, motion to close. Second. All in favor? Okay. For minutes and reports, workshop meeting minutes for February 6th, motion. Second. All in favor?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Thank you. Regular meeting minutes of February 13, 2018, motion.
Mr. Mayor,
That should be 19, shouldn't it? Okay.
the regular meeting minutes for the 13th, right?
The 13th, I'm sorry, 2019. That's a typo.
Right. So there's two typos there, and I spoke to the clerk. There's going to be an amendment, so I'm going to move that we accept the amended minutes for February 13th.
There was an error in the recorded vote, I spoke to the office.
Okay. With that amendment, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? And also the Environmental Commission annual reports to accept that motion. Second? All in favor? Any
You're
opposed?
not allowed to take those other ones.
On ordinances, we have a number of ordinances
You have
this
to
evening
stay.
for public hearing. We have ordinance 2019-05, an ordinance creating the Red Bank Redevelopment Agency. Any members of the public wish to address the council on that ordinance? Mr. Forrest.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, should I just go without? Is it
You
working?
got to push it.
I've only been coming to these meetings about 15 years. Hello? There we go.
Go ahead.
Okay, I speak actually in somewhat qualified support of the ordinance. As I indicated in the last meeting, but I also want to put in the record in the final, I have some concerns. I know that the terminology in there is, quote, boilerplate, but it does say, you know, to encourage more development, redevelopment and things in town. And as you know, I don't subscribe to the idea that we need to bring in lots of development into Red Bank. Some development, well controlled, that allows us to maintain the great quality of life we have here in town. I would like to see some improvements in some areas that you specifically mentioned, particularly the Route 35 corridor coming into Red Bank. But, you know, when you do read it, and I'm obviously layman, not a lawyer, I mean, there is some terminology in there that does sound like, you know, this could take on some sort of life of its own. But you assure me that that's not going to be the case, that you have the final say and control over this agency. And I do agree that having really good advice around development is good, because, you know, you're not quite volunteers, but you're part-time legislators here. Some of you are lawyers. And we have had rigorous discussion here about various projects over the years. And I think having a competent and good advice from people that are willing to tell you the unvarnished truth, even if it's not something we necessarily want to hear, is a really good idea. as an ongoing issue here at the council meetings, there's always a group of, people who are tied to real estate who are always kind of pushing for more development, and there's obviously financial issues at stake here, and sort of this narrative that, Red Bank is not what it once was, and, this town is not doing that well, and I think it's a trap to fall into that. That actually, I think the town is doing very well. It's not perfect, and it's a great place to live and raise kids. We've had a very good experience here. In fact, I think some of the bigger issues in town are related to overdevelopment in some places and rising housing costs. And so, development can have a cost as well as being desirable. And I trust you to find that balance and to listen to us. And, when I say that, I'm wearing obviously my, resident of 16 Locust Avenue hat and not speaking for anything else. And most residents, are working and can't get here and don't have the time to know the issues, and this is where we need you here. Because, obviously financial interests and people who are here to build things and make a lot of money are always going to be pressing you for things that help them, as opposed to what's necessarily best for the town. So that's my only comment, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forrest. Anybody else?
Yes.
Mr. Poco.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm speaking from the authority of the NAACP. And we basically support most of what Mr. Forrest just said. Now, you got to push something in there.
The bottom, on the bottom here, the very bottom.
Push it and hold it.
Hello?
Hello? There you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, free to all. Hello? Hello?
Keep on talking, Mr. Humphrey. We can hear you.
Okay. So, just to kind of get a symbol to commemorate what I'm talking about, you have a picture of a canary in the gold mines. And this I want to give to... Hello?
Keep on talking, Mr. Poku. You're on a timer.
Okay. All right, it doesn't matter if the timer goes up.
No, it does matter. You have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Canary in the gold mine, okay. The last time that I was here, there was a presentation by the Red Bank kids, some kind of Broadway show. And Tap Into Red Bank did a very nice article on it. Basically, if you look at the performance, the kids that are in there are basically the seeds of what's going to be Red Bank in the future. And when you look at all those kids, there's not even a single one of them that looks like Councilman Bartlett over here. It raises a little bit of a concern for Red Bank in the terms of the development that's going on is basically gentrifying Red Bank to the point where it's eliminating certain groups of people that used to live here. Okay, so I'm not going to read anything into all the kids in there. There might be an explanation. There are a few lawyers out here that understand that correlation is not causation. There might have been some reason why maybe no black kid wanted to be on the Broadway performance and whatever. But the canary in the coal mine says that what the NAACP has been saying, that black folks are being moved out of Red Bank. Okay, it's a trend that's going on and on and on. As NAACP, this being our 110th anniversary, and not just look to the other side as if we don't recognize it. We're bringing that to the attention. As you bring this development out here, there ought to be a new standard of review. If all Democrats can't come out to an agreement, this is a sign for you to table. Mr. Ballard did not hold his nose and go along this time, like he did when the council overruled the planning board in another situation. So I'm saying, reconsider what you're doing. There's no hurry in setting up this reorganization, agency. I personally don't see the point in having Mr. Zia Shiadi paid whatever amounts of money that he is paid, and at the same time having that redevelopment agency. You have a buffer whereby you can analyze think about what Mr. Ballard is thinking, have the community involved, bring the NAACP in. This council and the peanut gallery that seems to comment on what goes on in Red Bank pretends that Red Bank is like the elephant, what the NAACP is like the elephant in the room. They're not seen, they're not brought in to participate, and that needs to change.
Thank you, Mr. Holder. Any other members of the public wish to comment on the ordinance? If not, move motion to close.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? So we have ordinance 2019-05 on the agenda for action. Is there a motion to? Sure. Ken, before the council votes, did you want to address the council as our consultant on this?
Sure. I'm going to give up on the microphone.
Ken, also, if you could, because there's been a lot of questions I've answered, if you could talk about, in some respect, what you could be, the universe of stuff you could be authorized to do under that statute versus what you intend to do and what the plan is here.
Thank you. So, on the one hand,
Do you want us to make it over there so that everybody can hear you? You sit in front of
Sit there.
okay.
you turn that
I'll
microphone
do it.
on.
So on one hand, because of the statute, we're calling this a redevelopment agency. But in reality, what we're embarking on, I call it smart development. We agree with some of the comments that were made that overdevelopment is a bad thing. But this is to approach and do a cohesive plan where, quite honestly, Red Bank is a very attractive, hot community that a lot of people want to do lots of great big things in. So by doing this in a manner where the borough is being proactive rather than reactive to developers who come in and be able to sort through what's real and what isn't, and what is viable and what isn't, and the financial impact to the community, the redevelopment agency will be in a great position to do that. And it's true, redevelopment agencies do have fairly broad powers, but the reality is that all redevelopment, any redevelopment agreement for any project that's going to be put together is going to have to be approved by the mayor and council. So the redevelopment agency will be able to take projects so far, but ultimately it's the mayor and council making the decisions. Redevelopment agencies do have the ability to incur debt. Again, the reality dictates that it'd be very difficult for them to do that, because in order to sell bonds, the redevelopment agency would need a full faith and credit backing of the borough. They couldn't do it on their own because they'd be junk bonds and very difficult to finance. So the intent of the agency... I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. In that regard, you're talking about you can't sell bonds without revenue, and you're not intending to have a regular revenue stream as this agency. It's going to be project-based and proactive, right?
Correct, right. And the other thing I just also want to mention is that in order to create the redevelopment agency and get to the point where you're at this evening, the borough had to submit an application to the local finance board, which is the governing oversight over government operations, local government operations in New Jersey. The mayor, council president, the borough administrator, myself, appeared in Washington, in Trenton for the public hearing. And prior to the hearing, the staff of the local finance board vetted the application, came back, asked lots of questions. At the hearing, the commissioners all asked lots of great questions. And in the end, the commissioners were very supportive, very appreciative of the cohesive approach that the borough is taking toward this, and voted unanimously to approve the formation of the redevelopment agency. The staff of the redevelopment agency is going to be very austere, very limited,
very small, tight budget, and that's designed on purpose because the redevelopment agency is not going to build an infrastructure or its own bureaucracy. The only professionals that would be engaged are going to be based off of if there's a revenue stream to pay for them. And one of the main projects that we are going to be working on are the municipal facilities. Everybody knows the poor condition of the municipal facilities, and we're looking to turn that into opportunity and explore public-private partnerships so that we can rebuild these facilities that are in dire need. And then also working in partnership with other initiatives to improve the downtown. One of the things we talked about was embracing the river via the downtown. So these are different projects that we will be working on. But the scope is fairly limited. We've recommended and continue to recommend that the borough engage a review in 5 to 7 years' time, that perhaps once a lot of these projects are completed, that the agency should be dissolved. But until that time, we want to keep the focus very limited and focused on doing some meaningful projects, meaningful work, and not look for overdevelopment opportunities. Thank you.
So I have a few questions.
Sure.
So thank you for coming today. So actually the last point you made, I just want some clarification. So I know you said the recommendation is to review this in 5 years' time. Is my understanding that theoretically we review our agencies and authorities every year? So,
Supposed to, correct.
Supposed to. So in this situation, are we locked into a 5-year period? With the
No,
agency?
not at all.
Say we reviewed it in 2 years from now, and we decide it's not working out, we could just...
Absolutely.
And that was one of the issues, Councilman. There was, the local finance board said, why do you want to do that? And my answer to that was that the governing body wishes to, because it's something new, that we wanted to keep a very tight hold on it. So they were surprised that we actually asked for the sunset.
Right.
But he's right, we could, theoretically, if the governing body says we don't want to go forward in 2 years or 1 year, to do, you could
We can
rescind.
really keep a tight eye.
Absolutely.
So my next question really is about the overall purpose and the intention behind the agency, right? So I know personally I'm not a fan of overdevelopment, but I do believe in efficient and targeted development in places where it's needed. So there's a perception that this agency is really just focused on encouraging more and more development, kind of just one time, down into a restriction field. But it was my understanding that this was more of a focus for what our redevelopment strategy would be. So could you speak to that a little bit?
Very focused. Someone mentioned before that there are some opportunities on Route 35 corridor coming in from Middletown that there was an approved project that was never built. So there's properties like that that need to be given serious focused attention to. Finalizing the negotiations, assisting the borough and the professionals with the V&A project. Also importantly is, fortunately there's only a few, but you've got several redevelopment projects that have been approved, and the surveillance of those, making sure that they're complying with everything that's been agreed to in the developers agreement. And that's typically something that some municipalities fail in. They are great at having developers agreements, but then the surveillance falls short. So that's one of the things we want to monitor. The other two projects really involve municipal facilities and some of the aspects of the downtown in terms of more from a planning standpoint. And the other role that we discussed with the redevelopment agency is assisting overall in economic development and initiatives how to expand economic development for the overall good of the community. And explore, Red Bank has opportunity zones, explore how the borough can be positioned to best exploit those opportunities. A lot of people are trying to figure that out through the redevelopment agency. That's one of the missions that we're going to be focusing on.
My next question has to do with the agreements that the agency would negotiate. So I understand that the agency would be the ones to handle the negotiations, but the council would be the one with the final ratification.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So they wouldn't be able to approve anything?
No, the redevelopment agency would not be approving a massive redevelopment project or any type of redevelopment project. They would make a recommendation to the mayor and council to approve and ratify redevelopment.
And then if you could just briefly touch on, so I understand that an agency can approve debt.
Yes.
If you could kind of go through, I know this kind of, it could be a detailed topic, but just the balance sheet, the budget, the debt types that the agency can approve, what that process looks like, what money comes in, what goes out.
But in order to sell debt, it's no different than if you were going to a bank for a loan. You need to have revenues to pay for it. And unless the redevelopment agency had a serious stream of revenue, they wouldn't be able to afford to incur debt. They wouldn't be practically able to incur debt. That's why we come back to, if there was a strategic decision made that debt should be issued to the redevelopment agency, it would require the full faith and credit of the borough. So you would have to approve that. But there's no practical reason at this point contemplated that the redevelopment agency would need to incur any debt. The only debt as a result of some of the work that we've discussed with the redevelopment agency is going to be for the municipal facilities. And if there's any debt incurred, that's going to be incurred by the borough.
I have a quick question, Ken.
Yes, sir.
First, a comment. As you were speaking, you said that when you guys went to Trenton, they were impressed that there was unanimous support from the governing body. What some phrase?
There was unanimous support of the local finance board.
No, I said
Okay.
unanimous support from the local finance board.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So my question is, and I'm sure you're aware that Red Bank is woefully deficient into affordable housing.
Yes.
And as I hear you speak, you're only talking about the downtown development. So how can this development agency seriously, and I don't mean 15% on a 800 unit project, how do you seriously reduce the number of affordable housing units that we are lacking through a development?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. That's maybe I didn't elaborate enough, but you know, as you're familiar, we do have a designated opportunity zone here in Red Bank, and there are some great opportunities there to expand and provide more affordable housing in the opportunity zones, and that's one of the things that the redevelopment agency will be studying.
So how, and because I don't know, how do you make that happen? Like, how do you make developers build stuff that's affordable? Strictly affordable. I don't think you can, right?
But that would be the function of the agency.
Yeah, and
To create those development opportunities and coordination.
Right, as a practical matter, it's a matter of economics. So one way municipalities finance affordable housing obligations developers making money is pilots, payments in lieu of taxes. So you essentially give the developer a tax break so that they can afford to build the housing, deed restricted housing units. Ken's saying is that you can do that, the same principle applies to an opportunity zone where a UEZ zone has sales tax and other things that go to the municipality, where you can start to, it generates money or it creates a better opportunity for the developer. So the affordable price comes here, you have to raise the developer's bottom line up. And you can do that with either the state level agency to do that with low-income housing tax credits. The developer that securitizes themselves and makes them meet. You know, one of the opportunities here is there's opportunity zones in town, so you can start to raise that level up so that you can meet with the developer's overhead, if that makes sense.
And we've done that in the past too, right? Locust Landing is an example, right?
I mean, that was the whole argument on DNA, was, you know, the argument about whether the line needed to be here, or how we were going to meet them together. The developer was saying, I can only do 15, you know, not 15, and we had to make a decision now when we really didn't have all the information. You won't see it to fruition until Joe has that.
But I think Locust Landing is 100% affordable.
Cedar Crossing.
Cedar Crossing also. So we were able to build those.
Yeah, we were able to build those because there were state programs available 20 years ago that permitted the state to give funding for that. That's been cut off.
So again, my question is then how do we get that accomplished now?
Creative means of these economic development zones, opportunity zones that have been created by federal legislation that create the opportunity for that.
In addition to leveraging, as Councilor mentioned about the tax credits. A number of projects are subsidized and financed with tax credits. You can either get 4% tax credits, or if you work with the developers, they'd be able to get 9% tax credits. That then adds to the efficacy of the project. That combined with the tax benefits for an opportunity zone, and a number of people are exploring those opportunities. What does it mean? Everybody's talking about opportunity zones, but I haven't really seen any progress made toward developing projects, and that's what we want to do, is get movement forward on projects, and it's very conducive to do affordable housing projects in the opportunity zones.
Can you, just for the public's benefit, talk a little bit about design standards as they apply, because that's one of my favorite topics.
That is.
As the historian up here.
Well, we, as I mentioned earlier, the whole purpose, a motivating purpose of this is for the borough to be proactive rather than reactive. What's happened previously, and happens in a number of communities, developers come in, they've got a project, they show you the glossy, all the pretty color pictures and so forth. This is what we want to do, and then dig their heels in that this is what, if we don't get this, we can't, the project's not economical. The flip side, it should be turned around, is that the borough should have its own set of design standards so that if a developer does want to come in to an area that's designated an area in need of rehabilitation, an area in need of redevelopment, they know up front what the design requirements are, which include everything from height, density, floor area ratio, setbacks, all those types of things in the book and the appeal. So that when a developer comes in, if they want to build within a certain area or do a project in a certain area, they've got to comport and comply with the design standards that have been established by the borough and the redevelopment agency. So it's a means of being proactive rather than reactive.
Right, so that, the Historic Preservation Commission just heard their first big case on redevelopment within the Washington Street Historic District. So a developer has come in, commingled several lots, and proposes to change it from residential, or I guess it's a business and residential development into a professional office use within the district. And their first presentation didn't allow for or utilize any historic elements in their design. It was sort of futuristic and modernistic until the Historic Preservation Commission had an opportunity to tell them that they shouldn't do that. I guess what I'm trying to springboard into is the question of how will the redevelopment agency be able to help that type of situation going forward?
Well, there's a couple ways. First of all, as we talk about having design standards, the design standards can be fairly broad, covering a number of districts, even if they're not technically within an area that's been designated area in need of redevelopment. But part of the master plan update that we've been discussing, especially as it relates to the downtown, is to have design standard elements built into that, so that, again, it's a means of being proactive, and perhaps maybe it should be explored covering the entire historic district.
You raise a good point there, because the downtown business district was the first designated historic district in the borough, long before I came down the block. And it's important, especially as we heard in the strategic planning session of that River Center held, excuse me, because the assets that Red Bank possesses as a destination municipality here on the Jersey Shore is in its historic architecture. So how do we help protect that going forward so that we don't lose the historic element that makes us a destination town?
So you do have certain processes and requirements in place, and that's where I believe the redevelopment agency could help working within that framework and even expanding upon it to help protect and preserve the nature and character of the community. That's the one thing that should never be done is allow someone to come in here and change the character of Red Bank. I mean, that's, again, going back to what I said at the beginning, instead of redevelopment, we want smart development.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ken, I want to thank you for your answering the council's questions. They're all very good questions. And again, we've read all the documents and appreciate your attendance this evening. Council, have any further questions? If not, is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Okay. If no further discussion, we can just take a roll call vote on the ordinance at this time.
Councilman Yassin? Councilwoman Tridiano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
No.
Councilman Inkster?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the confidence of the members of council. Next, we move on to ordinance 2019-06, ordinance supplementing the revised general ordinances to prohibit the smoking of tobacco and use of electronic smoking devices. Any members of the public wish to be heard on those hot topics right now? Literally and figuratively, yes. Ms. Burnham, good evening.
Good evening.
I just wondered, the wording in here, in certain public indoor and outdoor spaces, certain, what does that mean?
So I wanted to make it clear that it said public indoor and outdoor spaces. I want to make it clear that we weren't prohibiting smoking, excuse me, on the public rights of way or anywhere other than on the borough's property. So I put the word certain in there, meaning to define that it wouldn't be everywhere public, if that makes sense. I mean, it's not really material to the ordinance. The ordinance, the language of what it actually controls is below. That's just, I think you're just reading the title.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other members of the public have any? Mr. Poku?
Yes.
Yeah, Council, I'm not a smoker. And, I'm not a smoker, but when government intrudes too much into things that people do, sometimes I look at it like it's a Republican ideal for government not to get into what you call people's businesses. And as an all-democratic council, I think we're kind of moving a little bit too much into these kinds of areas. I have to confess that I have not read the ordinance well and all that because I'm not a smoker and it really doesn't affect me. But I'm also looking at it, is this the slippery road to maybe no chewing gum, like in Singapore and some other things. I'm not asking that you don't vote on it, but I'm just making a comment, that it's kind of a little bit ominous, and I'm just speaking on behalf of people who might not be represented.
Thank you, Mr. Poku. Anybody else from the public wish to be comment?
Can I just clarify, because someone has read the ordinance? So, everything that's in the ordinance is already prohibited by state law, other than the parking areas and driveways next to the public parks and the public park. You could argue that Marine Park is kind of a beach, so that's already covered by state law. So all it does is prohibit the ancillary areas and your public parks. that are not currently covered by state law. The indoor and everything else in there is already banned by state law. It's just repetitive and to have it locally enforceable. And it also, as you know, I put those, as discussed last time, I put the 50-foot radius in there. So essentially, the municipal building and the library, the municipal facilities, and people who run those facilities can decide what works for them and their employees in terms of designated areas or what else. So that's all it does. It's not banning smoking everywhere in town or public or right-of-ways or streets or anything like that.
Thank you, Greg. If there's no other public comments or a motion to adopt. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Councilman Steen?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Ziprich?
Yes.
Councilman Horgan?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. Next, we go on to ordinance 2019-07, granting renewal of our license with Comcast. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this?
Yes.
Mr. Poku.
So Mayor, a little while back, maybe several years, I mentioned to you personally something about Verizon canceling landlines in Red Bank. And this is just basically a comment as you form this contract with Comcast, that you also think about emerging technologies. Pretty soon, Verizon will be coming up with 5G service to the home and all that. They've already got Fios in this town and all that. The only caution that I would give us is that as you go through with this effort, you don't lock the town up into some obsolete technology. Comcast is, after all, just one technology. I have a master's degree in electrical engineering, so I do understand this area pretty well. And there's no reason why legacy technologies cannot be around, for the people who don't have the ability to purchase things like Fios and all these high-cost technologies. As a matter of fact, I would think that you would set up some kind of an arrangement that would encourage other technologies to also come in and not lock us in.
Thank you, Mr. Poku. Any other members of the public wish to be heard on the ordinance? If not, motion to close. Second.
Second.
Motion to adopt the ordinance. So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor? I think it's unanimous, but yeah, we'll do a roll call.
Councilman Steen?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Ziprich? Councilman Horgan?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 2019-08, approving a one-year lease agreement for an approximate 5,000 square foot fenced-in portion of real property located at 208 South Street for the police impound yard. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this ordinance? If not, motion to close the public portion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt the ordinance. Second. Roll call.
Councilman Steen?
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Ziprich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. On first reading, there's ordinance 2019-09, an ordinance designating a portion of Emmanuel Court as a pedestrian mall pursuant to NJSA 4056-69. This is a matter that has been discussed with our business community and partners, with property owners, with the Baldwin County Planning Board, with our local planner, and the police department and DPW. So is there a motion to introduce the ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The public hearing will be when, Pam?
March 13th.
March 13th at 6:30 p.m. is the public hearing. And there may be some members of the public who are here on that, and since you're here, in a few minutes, we'll be happy to hear from you, even though it's not a public hearing, okay?
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, please.
This is part of the White Street and English Plaza redevelopment
That is correct.
of the parking area. What this will help do is create a public space in the parking area behind, or just off of West Front Street. And it'll add a little bit more life to the redevelopment of that facility there. And the parking area will be greatly improved and considered another pocket park.
It's a great idea and prevents illegal parking in that driveway.
And I think,
Which is done every day.
Councilman Zuber just told me this previously, that this is actually going to help us with our impervious
Yes.
surfaces in our town, which we know is a big problem. So this will help reduce our impervious surfaces. Now, I mean, any little bit counts, so. Okay.
Right, and then it's an outgrowth of the work that River Center has been doing with Ingenuity in that engineering project for those two parking facilities.
Okay. We have resolutions, no other ordinances, and I've taken a look at the resolution. The resolutions on the list. Is there any objection to moving resolutions 1948 through and including 1957 en masse? Okay. If not, then I would entertain a motion to move resolution 1948 through and including resolution 19-57 as a mass resolution. Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any additional resolutions? Okay. Mayor and council comments. Councilman Ballard?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. I have no report.
Thank you, Councilman Ballard. Ed Zippert, welcome back to the country.
Thank you. The River Center Board met this morning and was ultimately covered the review of the downtown business improvement district, their strategic plan, and it's a 5-year strategic planning document that was reviewed, moved, and adopted unanimously by the entire River Center Board this morning. Steve Catania and Jim Scavone took the entire board through the 1-year goals and objectives. There are a total of 20 goals and 98 objectives included in the entire document, which will be broken out and worked on over the course of the coming years. River Center will be forming advisory councils as we head into this new year, and the plan will focus on 6 major areas around town, including the Transit Village area, expanding the arts and antique district, the riverfront development area, expanding the retail and dining throughout the district, along with health and wellness. And it's really an exciting time for the River Center District, and I look forward to the borough, the council, and River Center working together collaboratively to keep Red Bank visible and viable as we move into further into the 21st century. Restaurant Week is coming next month. It starts on March 5th and runs for 2 weeks. Various restaurants will be doing $15 lunches and price fixed dinners between $25 and $35. So we encourage all of our residents to go out and patronize our restaurants around town. The Senior Center celebrated Black History Month this week with a presentation by Gilda Rogers covering the renovation of the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center, which will be opening this spring. I know they did a soft rollout. Many folks attended this past weekend. Jackie and the staff and the volunteers are doing a great job of working in their makeshift quarters and are very appreciative of all the assistance that the administration has given them while they recover from that first plane mishap. The seniors also celebrated Mrs. Edith Blake's 101st birthday this year. I had the pleasure of having a gab session with Ms. Blake, and last year I knew the mayor presented her with a 100th birthday acknowledgement on behalf of the borough, and I just wanted to give her a shout out because she has achieved yet another milestone year at 101 years old.
Let me know what she drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Kathy?
Yeah, I have a few things to report about what's going on in the library, because there are lots of activities. One that I think is really important, the library now hosts a U.S. citizenship preparation class on Tuesday nights from 6:30 to 8:30. There's a cost of $25 for books and materials, but participants may take the course as many times as needed to prepare for the test and only pay the one time. It's a family-friendly program. Activities are provided for children 8 and under during the class, but younger children must have a caretaker or older sibling present. Also, the hours have been expanded 3 nights a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The library is open until 9 p.m. It's also open earlier on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. It opens at 10. On March 23rd from 11 to 3 p.m., the library will be hosting its 3rd annual Maker Day. And that's when you go and do all kinds of crafts, and you can make buttons. They will have a green screen, sewing machines, a silhouette machine, all kinds of things for the kids. There's a new dance workout class the 2nd and 4th Fridays of the month from 1:30 to 2:30. On March 30th at 11, Zoo Jersey, which is an interactive educational presentation featuring live animals of all kinds, will visit the library. An anonymous donor had provided the library with 18 new computers, and they are now available. They're all up and running for the public. The library is looking forward to the spring. The Winter Story Walk at Riverside Gardens Park was very popular, and they're looking forward to putting a new story in for spring. And the director tells me that they're excited to make use of the RAD library, R-A-D, which means Reading, Activity, and Discovery, which focuses on programming that utilizes the library's outdoor space to introduce children to science, nature, and art through activity-based workshops and hand-on projects that both educate and entertain. So if you haven't already, visit our library. Lots going on there. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Kathy. Kate?
I have no report for Environmental Commission or Fire, but for the Police Department, I had shared at one of the meetings that we were working on a volunteer translator program for the Police Department. This will aid our department in multiple ways. We'll have people who have been vetted and background checked that our police can call upon if in the need of a translator in a specific situation. This group of people would also be available for public events or for our school events. They could coordinate with our police department to use this translator program as a service. So it would provide an unbiased, welcoming way for us to be dealing with our residents. I'm happy to announce that the application for this volunteer program is now available through the police department website. You can view the application there. And the word is slowly being spread and put out there, and we look forward to having the first training this spring and implementing the program.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just wanted to thank you as well as Kathy and Michael for joining us for the funeral for Chief Harry So, 1980 chief from Union Hopes. We're losing a lot more of the best and the finest, but as I said that night, he continued a tradition from his father and his uncle, and that tradition is continued with his brother and his 2 nephews and grandnephew, hopefully very soon. So thank you for joining us. The department appreciates your unity with them.
It was a great service, and you had very nice words to say. So.
Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank the Red Bank Elks for hosting our Parks and Rec Sweetheart Dance last week. We actually had 73 participants enjoying a great night. Also thanks to the police department for helping our participants safely cross the street. There's going to be 4 concerts in the West Side Jazz Series, which will take place in Johnny Jazz Park on May 31st, June 28th, July 26th, and August 23rd. And then finally, our concert plans for Marine Park will be shown at next week's workshop meeting. So please spread word.
Thank you, Eric. Oscar. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Can I jump back in? I was remiss in not giving a huge honor and thank you to the Barbara Nussbaum and Finance Department who are retiring. 38 years in the borough, way longer than I've sat on this dais. I didn't know this was going very well, but I just want to acknowledge her dedication and what she's meant to the borough and the finance department.
I went to school with her and her siblings, her sisters, at River Street, and the old River Street School and Red Bank High School. And she grew up, you'd be pleased to know, on Bank Street. Bank Street and Lakewood Warehouse. So she's still with us, so thank God. What's that?
That's why she works in finance, because she grew up on things.
That's right, yeah. Any other discussion items? Any members of the public have any comments on any matters that before the council? Madam?
Could I just ask,
Why don't you come up so we can have
I
you
just
on
wanted to
record?
ask council member, he
Please announce your name and your address.
Sorry, I'm Joan Wetherell, and I live in Red Bank Manor.
Thank you.
You just went through a whole series of announcements pretty fast, and I just wanted to ask you to kind of slow down, back up. You mentioned some kind of a workshop toward the end, and I was trying to catch what that was about.
Yeah, so every month we have our workshop meetings, so the whole council's here. It's a public meeting, and it's the first Wednesday of the month, and we have those workshop meetings, it's called, where we discuss what's going to happen for the next month or 2 months. But we're going to have a marine park concept plan be unveiled on next Wednesday.
Oh, okay, that's what caught my ear, was the marine park
Yeah.
aspect of it. And this, I guess, would also give me, I'm trying to figure out how I find out about the issues before I come to the council meeting and hear the resolutions, how I do any background research, whatever, to be
Website.
informed.
The agenda should be on our website.
Red Bank Green?
No, the borough website.
Oh, okay.
Red Bank Agenda.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and we should have all of those posted. Sometimes they're glitches, but 99% of the time we do have them all.
Okay, great, thank you. It's my first city council meeting, so
You're welcome.
I'm relatively new to Red Bank.
It's your baptism of fire.
Pardon?
It's your baptism of fire.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all very much. I will.
Sure.
You, ma'am, since you spoke and said this is your first meeting, I'd like to take an opportunity just to make a plug to you and to any other residents and members of the business community. We have a community alert system also through our website, so I encourage you and anyone else who's interested in getting both emergency and non-emergency alerts to go visit the redbanknj.org website and sign up with your telephone number, email address, your location, so we can also target your messages based on something that might be happening in your neighborhood. It's very useful in inclement weather, road closures, and anything else, so it's a great way to stay informed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Scavone, Mr. Poku, I'll call you, but you've already been up 3 times. So let Mr. Scavone come up. We need him to stretch his legs.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to the Mayor and Council for introducing the ordinance tonight to close Emmanuel Court. As Councilman Ziprich mentioned, that is part of the project that we have undertaken in partnership with the borough to redesign that whole area. And interestingly enough, the closure of Emmanuel Court was not part of the original plan, but you may recall that we did a very long listening phase before we started on this project. The engineer and myself met with, I think it was 26 different individuals in all different aspects of the borough. And closing Emmanuel Court came out of that listening phase from many of the business owners that abut that particular part of the property. So we're really glad that you introduced this tonight, and hopefully we can go forward with it as we complete this project. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Poku.
Yes.
So Mayor, the public did not get a chance to do a rebuttal on redevelopment, but I just wanted to put on the record that it is on the agenda of the NAACP tomorrow's meeting. That's one of the reasons that I'm here, and anybody on the Mayor and Council is welcome to attend our meeting tomorrow at Calvary Baptist Church at 6:30, where we will be discussing more of what we believe is the impact of redevelopment in Red Bank. And I bring this to your notice also from the point of view that when Red Bank Regional was trying to put something on the referendum, they made a presentation here, they made a presentation to the NAACP where we could ask them questions just like you asked your expert. And your expert is welcome to come to our meeting tomorrow, Calvary Baptist Church at 6:30, to allay some of the fears that Councilman Bartlett brought up in terms of the impact of development on taxes, the cost of affordable housing and all that. These are real major concerns that the NAACP is working on. So that's what I would like to add up. That we didn't get the chance for rebuttal, and just like the new person in council here, a lot of us are still learning ways to interact with the borough and find out what's going on as far as ordinances. And I spoke with Ms. Borgie yesterday, and I told her that I will be bringing back up this issue here, that the ordinary person does not have adequate preparation time to engage. Like the lady that just came up here, she asked the question, where did you find out what's going on and all that? One answer is the borough website, but there are still older citizens around here with flip phones, you might not believe it, that don't go on the internet and all that kind of stuff. And when I spoke with Ms. Borgie, she said that she used to have a lot of these material here, and people didn't pick them up, and at the end of the meeting, she had them thrown away. I think that we should revisit a way whereby within a reasonable time, people can come by to see her and maybe get a package, if they don't have internet and they're still on flip phones and they're not doing the alert and all of those stuff. Because as we move forward and develop, we must also think about the legacy of those who are here and don't have the means for $110 or $80 Fios or Comcast bill.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Broco, can you just remind me what time is the meeting and where is it?
6:30.
6:30 and where is it?
At Calvary Baptist Church. And we're going through the selection of new leadership for the next 2 years. So all of that will be addressed. Mr. Forrest here, we try to tap